Welcome back. Now, what's your favorite car? I'm sure it's Maybach, maybe, a Range Rover. Perhaps you dream of a Mercedes or a BMW or a Honda. Whatever it may be, Iyoko says a number of these vehicles here in Ghana were actually stolen from Canada and other places, brought into the country. Now, those who bought them have no clue that these vehicles might be stolen. But why would a Ghanaian vehicle dealer go and steal a vehicle and then sell it to the unsuspecting public? Well, let's find out. We'll engage the Chamber of Automobile Dealership Ghana today for answers. They join us here in the studio. We'll get quick introductions all around the table. Thank you for making the time.
Thank you.
All right. So I'll have to ask you to help us with your names.
I'm Eddie Kusi Ankuma.
I'm George Dumeno.
Okay. All right. Listen, let's get started. First of all, the claim is that a lot of these cars, the luxury cars that Iyoko has seized, 90-something cars that have been seized by Iyoko, are all stolen, and that many more on the market were stolen and then brought into Ghana. How did that happen? How did your members end up handling stolen vehicles?
Thank you for the opportunity given to us. We would like to use this opportunity to, say good afternoon to your cherished viewers. And Chamber of Automobile Dealership, as you rightly call, is a neutral, apolitical advocacy group which work to influence, enhance broader engagement with all stakeholders, industry players, and government in the formulation and implementation of policies that affect the used auto industry in Ghana. As you rightly said, from November, December last year, that Iyoko, in collaboration with Interpol, Canadian security agencies came with a claim that some of their vehicles have been stolen. And they entered a lot of garages to, arrest those vehicles. And this, as a result of that, there was a press release to, inform the public that they were not true. And based on that, there were engagement with Iyoko to present our document that Canada, with all the sophistication, allowing the luxury cars to, take off board ships. The necessary documentation are presented to Ghana Customs, pay for the duty. After 3 months down the line, you are claiming that those cars are stolen vehicles. That is what we don't understand. And in this year, January, around 13th of January, we call stakeholders engagement, inviting customs that it is their role to make sure that every car that enters here is, genuine cars. And they are claiming that even they themselves, they are not privy to how those cars are, termed as stolen vehicle. And they were told that Canada promised that they are going to bring machines that will be able to detect that. So even if the agency, customs, and Canada, they are not able to, determine at what point the car is a stolen vehicle, how much more a vulnerable importer and businessman. So it's a very big issue.
Yeah, but who did you buy these vehicles from? Have you spoken to them to find out how come you're being told that the vehicles you bought from them legally are now being classified as stolen?
Okay. Thank you very much. In a nutshell, it's not all dealers in Ghana who has been involved in this accident.
But you speak for dealers,
we're speaking for dealers, especially the Chamber of Automobile Dealership Ghana. Yes, the whole thing is that we got to know this, and quickly we called for stakeholders engagement at the Rata Hotel. That was the 13th of January. And it was together with the customs, Iyoko, Interpol, and all those that we think they are involved. We called all of them and we had a discussion to know where the problem lies. In fact, some of the dealers that were involved, some has no clue about what happened, because it's like you have seen a car online. You're saying that in Ghana here. You've seen the car online. Or you've given money to your friend in maybe the US to buy a car for you. He has bought a car. The car has got to Accra or Tema. You've got your bill of lading. The car is on manifest. And you've gone to clear, you pay your required duties. You've brought the car to your garage. Some have even sold their cars to other customers. And whilst they are driving the car, they'll be stopped and asked for a check the chassis number, and later they say the car is stolen. So it's something that we all are thinking about, how this thing can be minimized. Because anybody can be at the victim. When you say initially, you said we've gone to steal cars and bring, no, that is not the point. We have genuine guys doing business, and we have people who are, let's say, in that kind of business that they're doing. But there are some that has no clue about where these cars are from. He has bought it generally, paid money, and paid the requested duties to the government. And it ended up like being stolen car. Right. So now what we're doing right now is that the Chamber of Automobile Dealership Ghana, we have come out that we will find out and we will work with the stakeholders, the security agencies, to make sure we minimize, at least we minimize this. Because the sad thing is that you'll be a Ghanaian, you'll be walking around and they said Ghanaian dealerships are bringing cars, stolen cars into their country. And it's not good about us. Yeah.
That's
and
why
another thing that I want to make is that, you see, when you buy a car, these expensive cars, and if it is a stolen car, the consequence you have is that if you miss your car key, there is no way you can replace the keys, because it has been your this thing will be blocked, and these manufacturers will say you contact them to do, no, they won't do it for you. So it's a whole lot of big issue that we try to save customers, consumers, and also those in the business who are not enlightened about what is going on to know how to go about it when they're buying the cars.
Right. Yes. Now, a minor correction. I asked the question, why would Ghanaian vehicle dealers go and steal vehicles and then sell to the unsuspecting public? So it's a question I'm asking.
Thank you.
As in, you know, why
I
would such a thing ever
I understand you.
Yes. So let's now try and understand what can be done. So now, as a customer, how can I be assured I finally saved money to buy my dream car? I've seen one in your dealership, and I come and talk to you, and you've given me a great deal, and I've paid for it. How can I be assured that I'm not the next unfortunate person who's going to be stopped by the police and discover that the car that I spent my money on belongs to someone else?
Yes, as a result of this Rambo style raid of our garages since last year, we've decided to engage other stakeholders like customs, Interpol, police, CID department, Director General of Police, and the all Shippers Authority, Ghana Standard Authority, and eventually Interpol. They are going to create a platform, because at first we were thinking that Interpol were supposed to be arresting maybe political criminals. But during our engagement, we got to know that Interpol had information about all cars in the world. Yeah. So we are liaising with Interpol to connect all the information concerning every car, so that before you buy the car, you just forward the detailed information of the car to that platform. Interpol will be able to verify and give you the accurate information concerning that car, so that when you buy that car, you don't buy, what do you call it, you are not a victim of what is happening now.
Right. So at the moment, can you assure the public that every car we see in your dealerships today is completely robbery-free and it's safe for us to buy?
Yes, let me come once again. You see, this issue of stolen car that they are claiming, there's something that is going on that the public ought to know. And we shouldn't tag importers as what you call criminals, in a sense that, as it is now, the state is involved, because you claim that those cars are stolen cars and they are paying duty on it, and you are taking it into the government coffers. The government is involved. Now the number of 95 cars that has been listed that they are going to retrieve, some of them have been purchased by consumers. They are using it. They are involved. Then the garages owners too are involved. Then Canadian institutions. How do Canadian customs allow those cars to board the ships? Those shipping lines too must be included before it comes here. So it needed a collaborative something. So they shouldn't say this issue is just like dealers. No, we should that's why we are consulting. We are engaging all stakeholders, as I've mentioned earlier, to form a bigger platform to get information from Ghana and outside, so that we'll be able to find an amicable solution to this.
So what have you learned? I mean, I'm sure you've been interacting with the YOCO and Interpol. So what have you learned about how? Because we understand how systems work, especially in a country like Canada. Yeah. If a vehicle is stolen, your expectation is that it will be reported immediately. How does a vehicle that has been stolen and reported end up being shipped? How does it travel all the way to Ghana? When it can be tracked, because obviously that's how they found it. They tracked it all the way to Ghana. So how was it not tracked to the shipping yard? How was it not tracked while it was on the ship, or while it was even at the port in Ghana? How is it that these cars were stolen, but the authorities were not able to find them until they were being driven down the road somewhere in Adabraka?
Okay, thank you very much. That is a big question. And we find out a lot of reasons why these things is being shipped to Ghana. Some of them does like his own car. He will send it to an agent to ship the car. After the car is being shipped outside, then he'll go and report to the insurance that his car is stolen. Oh. He has one key with him and so forth. You go and report. So, and some of them too, depending on the location that they are, they report it, but before they realize the car is on the sea. Yes. So it's a gang up thing. It's something that is. No Ghanaian here can sit down that I'll go to Canada and steal car. No, it can't be possible. We know car theft that is going on in this country. Even in Ghana here, we have sometimes somebody will snatch your car and those kind of things. Yes, and they find it difficult to sell the car here. The same thing is going over there, but this is professional theft. They plan it the way that the car will get outside before, and after that, the insurance company will list all these cars. 3-4 months later, they said, okay, these cars were shipped here. Let's go to Ghana and check on their manifest, how these chassis, or if it's on their manifest. And they try to track it. Some also, those who are indeed in that kind of business, they ship the car without having it on the chassis on the manifest or whatsoever. So when it gets here, they do the amendment and clear it. That one is there. But that one, you normally, the customs will ask you to go to Interpol and make sure the car is not stolen. You get a clarification from clearance from the Interpol before you clear it. So we know that all this due diligence is done. If this is done properly here, these things wouldn't have happened. So it's a big thing that we must educate ourselves. We are still engaging all the stakeholders. In fact, we are working hard as a chamber. We are working hard that these things would at least minimize, because it's not the best for this country.
So in many of these cases, it's Canadian criminals who are committing these crimes, and Ghanaians are getting the bad reputation for it.
Yes, let me come in that. Can you imagine that 95 vehicles, luxurious vehicles? Just imagine, 95, if it were to be 10, 95 luxurious vehicle from Canada, who is a member of G7. Telling me that 95 vehicles have been, stolen from Canada, shipped to Ghana. 6 months down the line, you are holding a, what do you call it, your document that those are a stolen vehicles. You see that you can go and do that in Nigeria or any West African country. But that's why we are saying that it's like our security agencies are so lenient to these foreigners that they can just come and do something here. And you know the damage that is causing the image of Ghana outside there.
Yes, very bad.
You understand? So now, all that we are saying is that, yes, there might be some criminals. We are not denying that fact. And we are not here to defend criminals. But we are here to, let the public know that, in spite of the fact that these claims that are being made by these Canadians and US people, they may be having their, their document, all right. But at what point have you wake up from your slumber to see that vehicle is, stolen and shipped here? Till you come here and Ghanaian security agencies are just, pumping them. They should have, sack those people and give our cars back. And because Ghana is a peace-loving country. If any jurisdiction, this thing will not be allowed to, to
also,
happen.
why is it only Canada and the US? It's now mostly Canada. Why is it? You won't find this in Korea. You won't get this in Japan. You won't get this in... Why is it only in Canada and Japan and the US? Mm-hmm. Yes.
So let me ask you this. What's going to happen to these 95 vehicles that have been impounded by IOCO? Are you going to get them back?
The question that we are asking is beyond our control, because now, after this, incident, we engage IOCO, and the case, IOCO took the case to court. We don't know whether it is the court that has mandated IOCO to, retrieve those 95 vehicles. We don't know. But as to what will happen to that vehicle going back or staying here, that one only God knows, because they are claiming they are taking those cars back. But what is assurance that those cars actually will be going back?
What are your lawyers telling you? Do you have some legal recourse here? Could you sue maybe customs for, not doing due diligence and ensuring that you don't end up spending money on property that has been reported stolen?
I think those involved, they have lawyers they are engaging. As far as we are not involved in that, so there's no need for us to. But since it's like it has happened to some of our boys, some of our brothers, and we're more concerned that even though it has happened to them, it might not continue, or people, customers will have the feel that, okay, at least we have genuine ones in it, so when they're coming to buy cars, they will buy it with their own accord. Yeah. So they have lawyers, they have engaged and so forth, but I have no idea about where they've reached.
So yesterday, one of the union chairman called me that they've, taken a lawyer and they are in court, and all the documents that the lawyer requested, they've provided those documents. That is why we are taking, this announcement came as a surprise, because looking at the effort, you requested, you've taken us to court, we also taken a lawyer, and the lawyer is still, the lawyer hasn't given us any feedback that they have passed judgment or whatsoever. And this is where we are. But my advice is that, as of now, this issue should not be taken like for importers alone, because the government, the custom officers are involved for not doing due diligence, as they are also blaming us. Why should a stolen vehicle be allowed to, be given a value? We pay the duty, give it to the government. The government is also involved. The citizens are also involved, and the businessmen are also involved. So don't think that is for businessmen only. When we want to do proper, work, all are involved.
Okay, so what's the advice for those who are in your association? What can they do to ensure they don't end up with stolen vehicles? What are you telling them technically to do to avoid this situation?
Yes, as I told you before, there was no platform like we are having now. Ghana Standard Authority is coming out with, some licensure for those people that want to import cars. And they are liaising with Interpol to feed their system with all information about cars that are, going to be shipped from America or elsewhere. So we'll also be, liaising with them to, add them onto those platforms that, unlike before, anyone that wants to, do importation of a vehicle can easily access the information. When you get the cars on the net, you just forward it into that platform. Then they will verify and see that that car is actually not a theft car, and you go ahead to do your business.
And besides that, the Interpol here in Ghana has given us the assurance that should a customer want to buy a car here and you have the doubt, you can take the chassis number, call them, and let them assess it for you. They will check the background of the car for you before you make any payment. Right. So that one is rest assured that you are not going to buy a stolen car. Yeah.
Okay. Now, according to IOCO, there are about 400 of these luxury vehicles that are suspected to be stolen from the US and Canada here in Ghana, which means these 95 are just the tip of the iceberg. Yeah. Are you expecting further seizures of vehicles?
Yeah, I know. I know they are seriously working on that, and they will, because some have been published that if you have those cars, they've published some cars with the chassis numbers. So if you are in possession of those cars, you have to report it. And I think it's the best way for anybody who are in possession of that, go and report. And after all, if you do that, they will know that if you are not part of it. Yeah, but if you sit down for them to come over you, that would be a different issue.
When did they issue this this list of chassis numbers?
Oh, it's in the media, in the social media. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's been there for some time.
I just saw it happening last week. Yeah.
Okay.
To add to what we have also asked about 450 vehicles that they presume that they are stolen vehicle. We had an engagement with IOCO, and there was, describing a specific category of cars that 4 out of every 5 of that category of cars, 4 is ascribed as a stolen vehicle. But our worry still lies in the fact that United States of America and Canada, with their sophistication, telling us that their car has been stolen 5 months down the line before they are able to come up and see. And that is a very worrying situation. And even customs here are not able to detect that issue.
Well, you've made that point already.
Yes.
I'm interested in how many of these 450 vehicles have been brought forward by your members so far.
Now we are not clear about the number that they have, but as we are aware that there's much of these cars in the system right now, and those who have the cars in possessions knows that this chassis number of mine, and even if you don't have it, if you don't know and you are listening to me today, please check and find out that if indeed your luxury car that you're using is clear, is the chassis number is not listed in those, because they have listed the car name, sometimes some of the colors and so forth, and the brand of the car.
Where will they find this list for those who are listening?
I think it's in the social media. In the social media, I'm not very sure about it, but in the social media that you can find out from there. Or you can call the CID headquarters. If you call them, I think they will have those information for you. Or you call IOCO, they will have those information for you.
All right. Okay. If you go to IOCO's website, I'm sure you'll get contact details there.
To add up to that, you see, you may never knew that the car that you are using is a stolen vehicle until Canadian Interpol bring the document.
Interpol, not Canadian Interpol.
Or let's say Interpol, okay. Till Interpol bring the document that this car is stolen. So it may happen that a car that you bought 5 years ago, you think that is a car that is with no problem.
Clear, yeah.
But until Canadian bring the document, Ghanaians themselves or buyers themselves, customs themselves, don't know that that car is a stolen vehicle. So as we speak now, only 95 that they have provided their document that these cars are actually stolen vehicles.
And I guess this is a message to all of us in the public. If you bought a vehicle in Ghana from a dealer, then you do want to find this list and check the chassis numbers to see if your car is one of them. Important to do so you're not stopped when you're driving down the road with your family by the police and have your car seized. What a terrifying situation that will be. Listen, thank you both very much for joining us, giving us all this education. We'll keep an eye on this story as it unfolds. We appreciate your time.
Thanks so much.
Very much.